another edition of the On the Mic podcast, and I'm super excited to talk to my next guest for many reasons. But I'm going to start off first and foremost by saying this. The first time we talked, I believe it was 2020, it was during the pandemic, and then I failed, I messed up, and it took me forever to reach back out to her. She's one of the very best in boxing. She is one half of the best women's boxing show, period, on Blue Wire podcast. She is the one and only Cynthia Conte. Cynthia, thank you so much. I'm sorry it took me so long to reach back out.
No, it's all right. Every timing is everything. Everything happens for a reason. So I was like, why? What do you mean you failed? But it's totally fine. Now we're here and we're going to be talking some more boxing after
We are,
COVID.
we are going to be talking about a lot of boxing because there's so much going on, and obviously there's a huge fight, Tyson Fury this weekend. We're coming off a big Lomachenko win, but I want to talk about yesterday because specifically something I feel like you better than anyone else. And in a little sense of irony, I'm talking to you on the same day in which Caitlin Clark is making her WNBA debut. You have taken in so much pride of being a woman in combat sports, covering boxing specifically, and to see Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano on stage with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, especially Mike Tyson. I'll ask
Yeah.
about that fight later, but where do you feel we are at now in terms of not only women's boxing, but women in sports?
Women, it's still a climb. It really is. There are more women being spotlighted. More women are in the spotlight. More women are being featured on ESPN, ESPN Women, on all the major networks. The only problem is it's the money. But I understand because with the NBA, the women's NBA, they don't have money like the NBA. So it's good. They just have to continue to prove themselves, and we just have to continue to always support. As for women's boxing, I mean, it is still a climb. We've seen it with Layla Ali, Christy Martin, and even when I remember interviewing Christy Martin talking about how it was then and how it is now. Like she's even more excited because she's like, we didn't have this. Fortunately, she was always the co-main event for Mike Tyson, crazy enough, but she wasn't getting paid these millions and millions of dollars like these women are. But I do love where women's boxing is going. I do love where women's sports are going in general. But there's still a lot of work to be done by everyone, by all women, by men, everyone that supports, and just all the leagues in general, all the commissions, everybody has to be able to say, you know what, the women are just as good as the men, sometimes even better than the men.
Yeah, I just went on a tangent video that I'll be dropping on my socials today about, you know, even as men covering sports, we need to do a better job and not just treat it as a one-off when a woman gets to the level of a Caitlin Clark or in a boxing sense of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. I want to talk about that real quick. Just the press conference. How significantly important will that moment go down? We saw it went viral. Katie Taylor talking about how she idolized Mike Tyson. Now
Mm-hmm.
they're sitting next to each other. He gives her a
Yeah.
fist bump. You know, it's so often one thing I love about combat sports, a camera can capture the perfect moment, a perfect knockdown, a perfect blood splat. And if a camera captured the Katie Taylor and Mike Tyson fist bump, that would be an iconic photo to have. How iconic is that just for women's boxing to see them sharing the same stage?
It was a moment. Even I tweeted it out. I go, never did I ever think would I ever see Katie Taylor, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, and Amanda Serrano sitting at one table, knowing they're all going to be on the same fight card. I understand Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, of course, it's a rematch, but those two, Tyson and Jake Paul, never in my wildest dreams. But it was such a beautiful moment. It was so wholesome when Katie was just literally gushing and just I teared up because the struggles that she went through in Ireland just to even box. She had to be a boy because women's boxing was not allowed. So even just doing that, those are some of the adversities she had because she believed in herself. And to sit next to the man that we all love and adore and just one of the greatest fighters that to many, and he's just like, oh wow, like that's so cool, like you love my fights. And she's like, I can't believe, like, it's a pinch me moment. So yes, that is going to be an iconic moment. That is going to be one of her top moments in her life overall, not necessarily her career but in her life, just to be able to say, oh, this is so cool, and I get to fight on your undercard. But I've watched you growing up. Never did I ever believe in a million years I'd be sitting here and talking to you and telling you that I grew up watching you and now I get to fight alongside you.
I do want to talk about the whole card, but specifically before we get into that, because I want to talk about what's coming up and what we just went through. But before we move on, with all that being said, how big of a matchup is this? And I'm going to remove women's boxing because I know you can tell me exactly how important it is for women's boxing. But how big is this rematch for Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano in boxing and for both of their careers?
It's huge. I didn't know if it was gonna happen because, I thought maybe, His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh would have done it because they kept saying, "It's gonna cost money, and where's it gonna be?" They said the rematch is gonna be in Cork, Ireland. That didn't end up happening. She ended up fighting Chantel Cameron to go undisputed in another division, which now Amanda's gonna be fighting for. But it is really a big, big moment for boxing in general, especially women's boxing, because it shows there is the demand. It shows that these women, for the people who are watching this who did not see the first fight, you have got to see the first fight. It was so close. Like every round was so close. I, I could have seen it as a draw. I could have seen it, honestly, maybe Amanda won, but to each their own. Everyone had it different, but at the end of the day, everyone boxing won. Women's boxing won in that night. Women's boxing won. Just to see them walk out, for I still get I still tear up because I see it in my mind. And I remember Giandra and I were watching it on TV. You could feel the energy. You could feel the passion. You could feel everyone crying in the crowd because it was such a massive moment at the MSG when Amanda Serrano walked out to all her people, and she was just so happy. And Katie Taylor walking out to the sea of people just cheering her. Everyone was watching it, and they deserve the payday. They deserve to be in the ring. Did I know it was going to be on the co-main event of this card? No. I'm glad because when I first heard it was Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, I'm like, oh my God, then it was not a sanctioned bout. I'm like, okay. Then it was a sanctioned bout. I'm like, oh my God, what is boxing doing? And then when they put the co-main event, I'm like, now I'm starting to really pay attention. Now I'm going to start covering it because it's honestly one of the best ways to package. People call it a circus fight because before it was a sanctioned fight, it's a circus fight. Now it's a sanctioned fight. Now it's a dangerous fight for Jake Paul, honestly. We all know that. But then to package it with a real legitimate undisputed women's bout, that's hands down, I'm covering it. I don't care who's attached to the card. I'm covering it because this is what matters, because this is what's going to set the precedent for other people who are going to invest in the fights and show that women's fights need to be on cards as either the co-main or the main event.
Cynthia, I say this respectfully. I get emotional sometimes just what because I've sat back and watched you for so long, and it wasn't that I didn't want to have you on or whatever. I've always felt like I didn't belong in the boxing space, although I have friends like Ray Flores, his brother Miguel, and I mainly turn the podcast on for the biggest events. But you're right. I remember going back and watching the night of the fight and getting emotional because
Yeah.
like you said, you could feel it in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those moments as an NBA, NFL, baseball fan. Where you get those moments every few games where you're like, I'll remember where I was when blah blah blah. There was such a historic moment for women's boxing, and it finally felt like the universe was figuring it out. And
Yes.
it was so amazing to be a part of. And when I say all of that, I want to take a step back before we move forward, and I want to look at last weekend. And I respect everyone in combat sports, from cut men and women to announcers to people like yourself, and I have a huge amount of respect for you. I lose some respect when people who have a job and they're put in a spotlight cannot do the job that they are set to do. And I'm talking about Dan Hennessy and his ring announcing last
Yes.
weekend. I understand that maybe I probably couldn't do a fantastic job as a ring announcer, but you're given scorecards. You're given the exact decision. You have to read what's on your paper, what's on your card. How
You know,
bad of a look is it?
okay, so that night, I was on fire on Twitter. And so of course I tweeted out he sucks donkey balls. Like, but because it was, it was a women's fight and it was it's really hard. I mean, he had that Steve Harvey moment where you literally cringed and wanted to throw something at the TV. Like, how could you get this wrong? Because you announced the wrong person. And then when the right person was like, emotions are high, they just came out of battle and your adrenaline is still high. So you're just like, what just happened here? And of course, he had a major, like he fucked up. He fucked.
Yeah.
And so I remember I tweeted it out and I was just like, wow, like I can't believe it. Those just that alone, it was just so disheartening. But then it was Mother's Day. And then I read that someone posted, he put out a post saying, I apologize. I apologize to everyone involved. Blah, 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 and just whatever. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take my post down because he apologized and he apologized to the fans. Everyone makes a mistake. And I understand it was a very costly mistake and it hurt a lot of people for the people involved in that fight. But as us fans, we're all Twitter warriors. We're all, Twitter thumbs. But unless you know what it's like, and I've read cards, and sometimes, and I'm going to defend him, sometimes I don't know what cards he was given. It will just give like the scorecard and you circle it. And it sometimes if you read it, you read it the other way. It's like, so the red team is on the other side. So it just depends on how it's set. But unless he didn't read the bottom, the winner by unanimous decision or whatever it was, then that's on him. But I did see that today he did post that he's now going to finish one last fight and then he's out. So it made me sad because everyone came after him and he admitted, he's like, I understand I'm going to get the backlash, but mental health is a huge thing. And I totally understand that. When you read something bad about yourself or someone is everyone always criticizes about something, like you can't do anything right, you can't do anything wrong. And I totally understand. And that's why I felt really happy that I deleted my tweet on Mother's Day of all things, because I'm a mother. So I'm like, I understand, because if that was my son, I would go stab people in the eye, whoever talked, about my son. So I hope he's in a better place. And I know he's done a good job from what I've heard. But I hope maybe he comes back into boxing and people are just, a little bit more kind. And I apologize. And for me, even doing just to delete that was, that was the step a step in the right direction for him, because I didn't want to be a bully and, for people to keep retweeting that, because that's not me. But I
Well,
apologize.
let me
But
ask
it was
this.
bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was
But
bad.
it was very bad. And credit to you for, for doing what you did. But here's why it's bad. I'll paint the picture for the casuals, because I'm not going to call myself a boxing casual, but I know a lot of casuals are on YouTube. So, I'm on the weekend when I'm watching combat sports. If there's only one more event on, as there was, UFC was over. So
Uh-huh.
I jump on, since I recently moved out of state. All my boys are back home. So I'm gaming with my boys. It sounded like a loser right now, but I've got the fight on my other monitor and the audio can be heard by everyone.
Yeah.
And not only do they don't know that the decision was right wrong until I react, but, and I have
Yeah.
the most respect for this man, Joe Tessitore,
Yes.
like scorch earth on the broadcast. But we can laugh about it, but I was with him, not because just the decision, and was being read wrong, but I think as a broadcaster, Cynthia, this is where I think you kind of weigh in. There is a lot of credit to be given to Joe, as to not go, oh, we all make mistakes, because there was mishaps earlier. So you
Yeah.
have to call it how you see it, just like we want in a boxing commentary and an analyst
Yes.
breakdown during a fight. We want the audience at home to know this is not acceptable.
Yeah, it's true. When Joe Tessitore just like he was like, this is a clown show. What is happening? Because when the scores are read, I'm like, I didn't see that fight, but maybe is my feed off? I'm not sure, because my ESPN feed on my TV kept going in and out, and it was just a very, maybe because it's Australia, I'm not sure, but it was really bad. And I did see a lot of people had a lot of problems, and I did see that there were issues along the way and whatnot. But you call it like you see it. You are live, and you maybe you go back, maybe Joe comes back and says, I apologize. I don't know, I don't speak for him, but I speak for myself, and that's why I deleted my tweet. But it was really rough, because like I said, two women just went to battle. And whether it's, if it was the Maloney fight, whether it was a Loma fight, it doesn't matter. It's like you have one job. You have to read the cards right. And I don't know what happened that night, and I think it wasn't a really good idea when he did the last one and he threw the cards up in the air. I'm like, I think you need those cards. Like, you need to read those, like, make sure they're in order. But it was really, everyone was, sadly, boxing was united about the announcer. But at the end of the day, he's human. Yes, he made a huge mistake. Yes, he's now stepping away. And I just, like I said, I just hope people understand and just be more kind. And as long as Nina and Johnson, I can't even say her name. I just call her Sugar Neeks. As long as he apologized and they understood, that's all that matters.
I'm with you. And I just credit Joe for calling it like it is. I
Yeah,
think in combat sports, sometimes, people want to sugarcoat things and,
yeah,
I hate to say it. Sometimes in boxing, I'll listen. I don't have to tell you. You'll listen to commentary and be like, "Are they watching the same exact fight
yeah,
I'm watching?"
yeah.
You got to tell the story the right way. So I think everyone involved, that had a voice, you know, spoke as they should have on that. But there was, something to celebrate at the end of the night, and that was Vasily Lomachenko's performance. And
Mhm.
what a performance it
It was.
was!
It was. It
Where
really
does he
was.
go from here?
I did hear that maybe when Bob Arum, before the fight action that actually happened, he said if Loma wins, then maybe I'll pair him up against Shakur. But Shakur is going free agent, and Shakur was like on Twitter. He was on fire that night. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know. You don't say things about your old promoter once you're done. But hey, he apologized. I'm not saying anything. There's also Tank Davis to unify. I don't even remember who else. Who else is? I don't even remember who else is in that division that has the belts. But the problem is, when I listened to his post fight, you know, after those two losses, especially against Haney, which I believe he won. Many believe he won, but like I said, teach their own. That and on top of that, his country, he's been at, literally, he's been fighting the war. Like, he's not at home just sitting at home and during this war. He's on the battlefield. So that really does take a toll out of your body. And every time you win or lose both, you leave a piece of yourself in the ring. So when he had those two losses against Theofimo and Devin Haney, and then he had to come back and prove himself because his dad said, I think you can do this. We have one more fight. I don't know now if he's doing this for him anymore. He said, this fight, I won this title for my father. And he had that post fight interview with ESPN. And he's just like, I don't know, this was for my father. And he just looks tired. And he's what, 36? So he's not a spring chicken. And the guys that are coming up are much younger, but Loma is still great. He looked like he didn't skip a beat. I even said, I go, Loma, don't download, just get to it. Like, there is no feel out rounds. You just go, go, go. And sure enough, we did see the Lomachenko. Was he at his prime? No, but he still had his footwork. He still had his punch selection. He was just in that groove. And it was cool that, I bet on him. I knew it was going to be a late round, and everyone put Lomachenko not undisputed, excuse me, unanimous decision. I was like, I think he's gonna knock him out or stoppage. I don't know why, and I picked 9 through 12, and then I bet up straight up a KO or a stoppage, and I won. I was like,
Well, that's good for what we're about to talk about because huge fight this weekend between
huge.
Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. And as I said, sometimes I feel I don't fit in the boxing space, but here's where I know I do fit, and that's having a platform and speaking and having my guests speak on mental health. Which, as soon as Tyson Fury opened up about his battle, I instantly became a fan. So you have people not only who recognize Tyson Fury the boxer, but Tyson Fury the person. And
Mhm.
as popular as Tyson Fury, the boxer in person, is, he's got undoubtedly the biggest test in front of him in Alexander Usyk. How do you see this fight playing out?
This is the ultimate chess match. When I watch the interviews and watch the footage, even like the buildup, I think the his loss, or no, not excuse me, his knockdown against Ngannou was like, oh my god, like, everyone just saw it, and it was embarrassing. That wasn't supposed to happen. Like, For boxing, that was not supposed to happen. Our heavyweight champion, our lineal heavyweight champion, just got knocked down by a man that just won one fight. Like, seriously. But this is the fight that it's gonna, they both say, one says it's for legacy. Usyk says it's for his legacy. Tyson Fury says it's not for legacy. It's about just a boatload of cash. But not too long ago, Tyson Fury was claiming it's not for money. I don't do this for the money. But when His Excellency came knocking on the door, offering a boatload of money, well, damn, I'll do this for the money. But it's these are all belts right now. Usyk has 3 of the belts. Fury has the WBC belt. This is it's what, 24, 25 years since we've had a heavyweight champion, but for the first time for all 4 belts on the line. This is a massive, massive fight in this century as of right now until something bigger happens. I think when I saw Usyk become cruiserweight, I'm like, he's going to be undisputed heavyweight. I don't know why. And I know he was small. And when we saw him fight Tony Bellew and we saw him he fought Joshua. Joshua was a different Joshua. He wasn't the Joshua that we always knew, the Joshua before Andy Ruiz. But Fury looks in shape. I think he's 6'9". I don't remember how much he weighs, but he weighs a hell of a lot more. I think he's going to use his size advantage of what he does best is leaning, using it to push down on, clinching just to tire out Usyk. But the problem is Usyk is a lot faster. I don't know how he is in this weight because he's obviously bigger now since his first 2 heavyweight fights. I think Usyk has been much more focused because all he does is train. It's, he has fun and he trains. Fury, he has fun, he trains, and then he also had that fight with Ngannou that was like kind of sidetracked. But I still believe, and I know at first it was -110 on both sides like 2 weeks ago until the thing came out of Fury looking in shape. Then it moved to -110 plus 100. I don't know why, but I still have a feeling Usyk is gonna pull it off. I don't know how, but I don't know, and I want to see how Fury does against the southpaw. I know that he does have a very good left hand, Fury, and when he throws it, he throws his head off the line and he'll move. So maybe that will stop Usyk's jab, but I'm not sure. The one thing Fury has to do is be able to cut off the ring because Usyk will be dancing just like Loma. He will be dancing. The way you see him dance in his videos for fun, that's how he actually does it. So I'm very curious, but I don't know. Maybe I'm in the very small percentage that I think Usyk will be able to pull it off. I don't know.
I honestly, I may have to debate you on that because I'm hearing a lot of people, like just from people around me that aren't even the biggest boxing fans, they're taking Usyk in this fight. So
Oh, okay.
there's something of the aura of Tyson Fury where I don't know that everyone's bought in, and so that leads me to this question. And I just want to say right now on Tuesday afternoon when we're recording this, Tyson Fury is a -120 on DraftKings.
Oh,
Oleksandr Usyk is a +100. With that all being said, you're right. Like you said in the Francis Ngannou fight, that wasn't supposed to happen.
yeah.
That knockdown wasn't supposed to happen. I'll put it simply, Cynthia. Does Tyson Fury need an incredible performance to remind the world of the guy we all fell in love with, singing in the ring after his fights, beating Deontay Wilder, looking like the Undertaker, picking himself up off the canvas and getting a win? Does he need knockdowns and a stoppage in order to win the world back over after that Francis Ngannou showing?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we need the Fury that fought Deontay Wilder in the second fight. I think he needs to have a very perfect performance, cannot make one mistake because Usyk will capitalize on it. I also believe that Fury will have to try to knock him down. He has to have a knockdown to show that he still has power. He can't just dance around the ring because then people will say he was on his bike. Because Fury is also fast on his feet, but so is Usyk. And so we'll just have to see. He's lighter, he's much lighter in weight, but I don't know unless maybe this is his facade to show that he maybe has a totally different game plan by everything he says in the media. I don't know. Everyone has some kind of thing. He's been saying that he's in Usyk's head living rent free. I don't think that, because Usyk, I feel like is, he's, don't take this the wrong way, but he's so demented looking, like the way he looks, it's like psychotic, but kind of like, American Psycho type, but Ukrainian Psycho,
Yeah.
like that kind. So yeah, he needs, yeah, in order for him to win back the public, yeah, a big win will be a big win, but there's a rematch regardless. Whoever wins or lose it, the rematch will take place in October, as from what Fury and Usyk have said. So it doesn't matter. But it just, like I said, it depends on how one wins and how one loses. So, for example, Loma and Cambosos, everyone, I knew Loma was going to win, but it depended on how he won and how George Cambosos lost. And he stayed on his feet. He was able to take up, go almost 11 rounds with him, but he looked fantastic. He went back to his old self, but he was still able to take some of those shots. And it was good. Even Naoya Inoue, Neri, how did Neri lose? He was able to drop Inoue. That was huge. And now Japan is giving him all the praise when they totally, you know, they X'd him out
Right.
for
Yeah.
they banned him. They banned him, and now they're like saying thank you, thank you. So boxing is very forgiving, but we're gonna see how Fury performs. And I think when Fury says there's not a lot of pressure, there's a whole lot of pressure because everyone is expecting him to win. And Usyk is just Usyk. He has 3 belts, and he's just like, whatever. I got this. Don't worry. I've been training.
It was
I
looks like
wasn't
the
the
guy
one
who
that
just
got knocked
clocks
down.
in, shows up
Yeah.
for work, does his job, and leaves.
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah.
get. That's
So I
how
want
I
to,
kind of feel Usyk.
yeah,
Uh,
and I really want to see how Usyk is, because remember, I think he got dropped when he got dropped by Dubois, and they were like it was a low belt or low blow. I don't know.
yeah,
Like, to this day,
yeah.
I still can't tell because whatever. But if Fury goes to the body a lot, I want to see, will Usyk be able to take those body shots, because he is a little vulnerable in that area. Even when Joshua was landing, it still kind of hurt him. But who knows? We'll see. I think it's a fantastic matchup, and all belts are on the line. But no matter what, May 18th, we're gonna get a new undisputed heavyweight champion. That's so wild to me. Unless it's tied. I should just throw up money on a tie, because it's what I don't even know what's it, plus 2,500. Put
Probably,
put
and it would make
$20
sense, right?
down just for fun.
It would make sense, right? I'm trying to bring it up right now. Well, let me ask you this though. In this crazy world of boxing that you've spent, some time in covering, has there ever I know there's been plenty of characters. Has there ever been a character not in the ring like John Fury?
Oh my. That was honestly, after I saw that, and Fury obviously he's gonna, defend his dad. He's like, we're in theatrics. I'm like, your dad totally headbutted a dude on Usyk who's twice the size smaller than you. And he kept saying he was in my space and he was screaming Usyk. I'm like, well, you're screaming Fury in his face. He wasn't doing anything to you, and you literally headbutted him. I'm like, and he's the one that came out with the blood. And I go, I think he headbutted him on his tooth. I don't even know, but I'm like, the kid is, I don't even know how old the kid was, but it's, that actually fuels Usyk more, because, I don't think that's theatrics. And he was like, we're warriors. We fight. This is not your fight. This is your son's fight. Because if God forbid something happened between all the camps, fight be off, blame your dad. But yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead. You can continue with this.
Yeah, no, I just find it's always comical because whether it's Tommy or Tyson, John's right around the corner. I mean,
Yeah,
who can forget the fiasco and the Logan Paul, Dylan Dennis press conference and John Fury flipping over tables? But
yeah.
I digress, and I'll go quickly on one question here. What should be done with Ryan Garcia? I know we're still awaiting test results, but what should be done?
That is a real tough one, because, until May 22nd, when the B samples are tested again and shown, there, everyone's going to come to everyone's defense. Ryan has a whole army, and they don't know anything about boxing, or they do, but they don't understand about testing. They don't understand about, these IVs that he took, that at first it was alleged, but then there was a video that he put out on his own social media, and IVs are not legal in New York. Whether if it was one of those rehydration IVs, they're just not legal. So everyone's going to jump to conclusions. Everyone's going to make false accusations and false allegations. As of right now, they are allegations because right now it shows that he tested positive regardless. And until he can prove how he got in the system, it's called strict liability. If people don't know what that is, it doesn't matter what you took. It's regardless. It's up to you. It's your fault because you physically took it. Whether a trainer gave it to you, you bought it at the store yourself. You're responsible for everything you put in your body. So he says he has the best people trying to figure out what he ate and was it tainted. Maybe it was a tainted over-the-counter supplement, we don't know, and that's happened. But the kind of things that were found, I don't know if you find them at your local GNC or Sprouts. I'm not sure. So I until May 22nd, that's all you can do. I mean, and I know Ryan has been going off on Victor Conte. Devin Haney has now asked his lawyer to get the outcome as a disqualification and a win for Haney because Ryan cheated. It's really such a big mess that we don't know until the facts come out. So I don't know, unless he does. I really hope he doesn't do the Connor Ben, do a 278-page dossier where the public cannot read it and he won't release it because his ego, but yet he says he's innocent. So if Ryan says and swears up and down all around he's innocent, prove it. That's all we can do. All you have is your word and test results. That's pretty much it. But that's all you can do.
Was this or was that the most bizarre kind of lead up to a fight? Not
Yeah.
just the rivalry was one thing, but
Yeah.
I was one of those people who would, I guess, quote unquote, have gotten dragged because I was talking about Ryan's mental health. Well, if it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's usually a duck. And when if my whole thing is if Ryan put on a show that made people so concerned about his mental health, he's really
Mm-hmm.
disrespecting mental health and
Yeah,
himself in that
yeah,
way.
yeah. I
So
agree. I agree. And it's hard because he's already come out before. He called off a fight, I think with Oscar Duarte. Was it Oscar Duarte? I can't remember because of his mental health. And and everyone's like, no, but we're very it came about that okay, maybe we do really have to pay attention to mental health because it is big in boxing and in combat sport. In general, it is for everyone. But when he starts using it as a tactic, that's the hard part because there are people that really do suffer from it. And now if Ryan has another breakdown and it's real, we won't know if it's real or not because, you know, you cry like a wolf. We don't know. And I think and it goes, maybe it's just this kind of generation. I'm not sure because now you have social media and the kinds of things that he was talking about. I said it. I go, look, I do believe in dark forces. I believe in the Illuminati. I believe in stuff like that. But what I get it. You're gonna highlight it because you have a very big platform and you're a celebrity and people will listen. But was it the right way? It worked. But now now it might be haunting him. It might be coming back at him in a different way. And now it's a really tough one because at the end of the day, Devin Haney suffering mental health after that, what happened to him, that beat down. And now with these ped allegations, and now Ryan's going through this, whether he's like, I didn't cheat, but everyone now doesn't believe him, or a lot of people don't believe him. So that you really do suffer regardless, because you're like, shit, I swear I didn't do it. And if you did, then you have to suffer the consequences. But I all we can do is wait and see, but you're going to see for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, even after the test, you're going to be seeing he's guilty, he's not guilty, like it was tainted, it was planted, it was, the Illuminati did it, or people are against me. It's really weird that what was it, the New York City commission chick, she stepped down. Like, this is just weird. It's very odd. I
it
feel
is
like
very
it's like a Twilight movie. That's what it feels like.
You know what else feels like a Twilight movie? Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul.
Yeah.
And I have continuously been the guy who's had to be like, I know about Jake Paul in boxing. And then I'm like, well, he fought this guy, he fought that, especially being the MMA guy in between the two of us on
Yeah.
this
Tyron.
conversation. I have to continue defending MMA. And then Jake Paul goes and fights two boxers with credible boxing records who they pulled out of who knows where. I know one they pulled out of North Dakota off probably a farm. And with all that being said, we find our way to a sanctioned fight against Mike Tyson, which is on Netflix, which is a conversation for another day. What do you
Mhm.
make of this fight?
It's at first it's just entertainment. It was pure entertainment. And then when they decided to be sanctioned 8 rounds, 2-minute rounds, I'm like, are you kidding? 14-ounce gloves. From the clips that we've seen, and like we said, people say you can do really quick clips, but doesn't mean that you're really good at fighting a 12-round fight. But Mike Tyson is is not just any regular boxer. Like, you see the way he hits the pads, and you saw the way he fought against Roy Jones Jr. on the Triller card. At the end, at the end of the day for him, he's like, I'm still in kill mode. Like, he really wanted to keep fighting and like kill Roy, because you can't just turn off a switch as a fighter when you've been a fighter for so long and you have devastating power and you knock people out. You can't just be like, oh well, I can't really knock this guy out, blah blah. Your mind goes into kill mode. So I think I'm terrified for Jake. He even said, he was like, I'm really scared. And it was Mike that wanted the to be sanctioned. And I understand that, because it was almost a joke. We're like, well, what's the point? What's the point of you guys fighting this fight? But I don't know. I hope there's like big insurance on both. I'm terrified. Like, and Mike is 60 years old. I'm really good friends with his son, Amir. And I said, Amir, did you know about this? And he's like, no, I learned about it like everyone else on Instagram or like on social media. But he's like, the way my dad's fighting back in the ring. And he's like, yeah, I've seen it. Obviously, he's trained with him. He's like, I am scared for Jake. So,
That's the thing. I am too, because it just takes 30 seconds. I don't have to tell you. I'll tell anyone watching this. It takes 30 seconds for Mike to go back to the old Mike Tyson, to be like, this little punk, what? And then that's it. And
yeah.
honestly, the same can be said for Jake too, Mike, right? There could be a moment where Jake is younger, bigger, and faster. And I'll steal from Joe Rogan for a second. He said, Jake's not a guy who looks like he's closing his eyes and throwing punches in a boxing fight. He's legitimately put in the work.
He
So,
has.
you
He
know,
has.
there's danger, but we're also not in a time we may have been in 40, 50 years ago where a 57, 58-year-old guy is a 58-year-old guy in 2024
Yeah.
with everything available to everyone, especially Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I know that, the times are different, but I'm glad someone shares the same sentiment, because people are like, what do you think? I'm like, just hope Mike doesn't go back for 30 seconds. Because
Yeah.
if he
And
goes back,
he did say that all the stuff, the mental stuff of getting in someone's head is during the press conference. And that's why, like with Ryan Garcia, that the craziest press conference I've ever had to be a part of. I felt so disgusted. I'm like, what just happened here? Like, this is not boxing, but okay, this is your way. And and he goes, but when I'm walking into the ring, because he's had some legendary ring walks, like the DMX one, he's like, I'm just in there to go kill. Like, all I have to do is the talking. So I think the moment when he's in his gloves, he's ready to do his ring walk, he sees the thousands of people in attendance. I don't even know. I think it's what night. How many people hold AT&T? I don't remember. I've been there for the Garcia fight. It's a lot of people. So your mind is it's like you are in tunnel vision, and both of them do not want to be embarrassed. They want to fight, and they know this is going to go on the record. Mike Tyson sure doesn't want a loss by Jake Paul of all people. So I think it's I don't know. I put a poll out on Best Women's Boxing Show period, and even on our voting polls on our Instagram, and it sure is like 80% Tyson's knocking Jake out.
that's awesome. Well, Cynthia, thank you so much for giving me so much time. I know I had to ask for a little bit of time. We went a
No, it's
little
all
bit longer.
right.
Cynthia Conte, best women's boxing show, period, on Blue Wire Pods. Make sure to subscribe. Follow her on social media. Cynthia, you're one of the very best. Please, let's not let 4 years go in between our next conversation. That's on
Yeah,
me.
no, just reach out. I'm like, I'm when you text me, my immediate reaction or my immediate answer is like, who's your fighter? When are you available? Let me see when Giandra's available, because we're just so busy, like just booking and just interviewing and editing, doing a podcast, YouTube. Like, it's the life of being in media is you got to do so many things and learn how to edit all different ways. Like I'm learning how to edit this, all the social ways. Oh God, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Like
Yeah.
I just don't even like to be on my phone. But I'm like, can I just hire a 12-year-old? Honestly, they know more than me.
I've literally had to do it myself, and I've been
Yeah.
in the MMA space, and I was asking at the last event. I'm 32 now, and I'm asking 20-year-olds. I'm like, so how did you get it to
Yeah.
fit like Instagram properly? So now
Uh-huh.
I've spent so much time doing it. Now I'm like, well, yeah, these kids don't know what they're doing. I do it all the time. They're like, who taught you that? I'm like, I don't know. I learned it. I just learned it. So
Well, I
I'm
learned how to do when I first got into boxing, I learned iMovie first, and I learned from a 14-year-old kid's YouTube. That was like,
That's
gee,
hilarious.
okay, this is great. But now I've upgraded to Premiere Pro, and I just asked my best friend's kids. They're like 14, like literally 13, 14. I'm like, how do you do this on CapCut? And they're like, oh, you do this. I'm like, that's what I thought. Okay, I already knew that. I'm like writing notes, how to do this, the symbols. That's how I do it.
I
But
love
yeah,
it.
no, thank you. And don't ever say that you don't belong. You don't feel like you belong in any space, because you do. You have a voice, and you speak your mind, and you answer questions, and you do. And there's always a place for everyone at the table. You just make your own place,
I
which
appreciate
Yonder
that.
and I
It's
did.
just the MMA guy coming into boxing. I know that fence is still up, but I'm trying to break through it. So I appreciate it very much. Everyone subscribe. Like I said, to the best women's boxing show, period, on Blue Wire Pods, and follow Cynthia on all social media. Hopefully we'll be talking soon, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.